Be sure to follow us on Instagram @CriminalAFPod or click on the link in the episode description. On March 16th, 1964, Catherine Genovese, known by all as Kitty, was stabbed, raped, and robbed outside her Queens, New York apartment building by a man named Winston Moseley. What's more terrifying than the tragedy itself is that her screams for help reportedly went ignored and allowed Moseley to return and continue the assault in a span of 35 minutes before police and paramedics were notified. This alleged delay resulted in her death and spawned the psychological term, the Genovese Syndrome. But this is only part of the story. I'm Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Corder.
And this is Criminal as Fuck. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal AF. Once again, I am Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Corder.
How's it going, Garrett?
Good, buddy. I'm glad to be back with you. Welcome back, everybody, to the #1 true crime podcast in the world.
In the world, baby. All right, so we have a new patron joining our criminal family.
Beautiful.
Another one. So a shout out to JD Driscoll.
JD Driscoll.
Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. You are amazing.
Thank you so much.
We also have a shout out to give to Lucy out in Yas Vegas, as they call it, out in Yas.
Vegas.
She's becoming our official recruiter out there in New South Wales.
Hey, we got the Australian fans.
You know. But yeah, thank you so much, Lucy. I mean, what you're doing out there and spreading the word about Criminal AF. Hey, thank you very much. Now, just a reminder for everybody just joining us for the first time that this is a true crime podcast, and there will be talk of murder, rape, torture, arson, and pretty much any crime that would haunt you nightmares at any given moment. There will be detailed descriptions of said events, and there will be vulgar language, like shit stain.
Oh, I was going to say, fuck! You threw me off! Shit stain, really?
Yeah, I mean, what not?
Hey, okay.
I mean, we are talking about some shit stains on this show, so we understand that Criminal AF is not for everyone. But we ask that you at least give it a listen. And if it's not for you, that's bollocks.
Oh, shout out to the Australian friends.
Yes.
What a great word, by the way. Bollocks.
Yeah, bollocks. But if it is, welcome to the debauchery.
Well, Dave.
Yes.
What better way to start the night with a Florida man of the day?
Yes, sir. Ding, 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 ding. Bow, 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 on our way to Florida.
Is that how you play the banjo? Or is it? I don't know. Who knows?
We need to watch Deliverance.
We're going down South Beach.
Okay, South Beach.
It sounds, right? Sounds fancy, right? Sounds like some club drama.
Hell yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Uh-oh.
An armless Florida man was arrested Tuesday after he allegedly stabbed a tourist.
Wait. What? Wait, say that again.
I read that right.
Say it again.
An armless Florida man was arrested Tuesday after he allegedly stabbed a tourist.
Oh, I gotta hear this one.
Jonathan Crenshaw is a homeless street artist in Miami, Florida, who frequently painted on canvases near tourist attractions in and around South Beach, according to the Miami Herald. Crenshaw, 46, uses his feet to paint and allegedly used his feet again to stab a tourist.
Oh my God.
Get over here! Come here! No, if he can paint a masterpiece with his toes.
Oh, he's probably got that kung fu.
Yeah, he's probably like doing roundhouse kicks to the face with. It's like Edward Scissorhands, but with his feet. By the way, we're going to include his mugshot in this because he looks like a character. Miami Beach police alleged the artist clutched a pair of scissors in his feet and stabbed the visitor twice.
Oh, he got too quick in. He's like, wah, 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 wah.
However, Crenshaw
He's got plenty of time to practice.
No, dude, that guy he's probably a menace.
Oh, yeah.
A menace with those scissors. However, Crenshaw claimed he was acting in self-defense, telling police he was lying down and Cesar Cornardo, 22, who was visiting from Chicago, punched him in the head. Cornardo's friends, Cindy Barrientos, told police this was not the case, but rather her friend was simply asking Crenshaw for directions when the street artist jumped up and allegedly stabbed him. Cornardo suffered wounds to his left arm.
I wonder if he did do it like a roundhouse.
He had to have.
Like just like phew, just flinging around.
Yeah, he was probably
like
sleeping. Imagine trying to right? You're walking down the streets of South Beach. You're on vacation.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, where's the LIV nightclub? And you walk up and you're like, hey man, and this guy just boom, just jumps up. You think he's sleeping, and he just jumps up and just.
Well, you gotta wake him up slowly. I mean, you can't just walk up.
Yeah,
on him.
it is Miami. Yeah. Crenshaw was charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, according to Miami News Times. Crenshaw is in custody at the Turner Guilford Night Correction Center with a $7,500 bond, and his court date is scheduled for July 18th. His court-appointed attorney, David, said he did not immediately respond to people's requests for comments. And according to this article, he also has had frequent run-ins with the police, including police battery, assault.
Well, he can't have throw-ins.
like this guy has a rap sheet, like everything.
Oh my God. That is amazing.
We will definitely include his mugshot because this is fantastic.
Well, that's a good way to start this one off. But this episode, we are talking about Kitty Genovese. And if you're not familiar with the case, you're about to be, because
it's a good one.
It's a good one. And this one is kind of fucked up. But we're going to start off with Chapter 1, and here we go. In the early hours of March 13th, 1964, Catherine Susan Genovese, known as Kitty, a 28-year-old bartender, was raped and stabbed outside the apartment building where she lived in the Kew Gardens neighborhood of Queens in New York City, New York. Kitty was born in Brooklyn, New York on July 7th, 1935, to parents Vincent and Rachel Genovese. The oldest of 5 children, Kitty was a graduate of Prospect Heights High School and remembered as a very good student, self-assured beyond her years, and a sunny disposition, voted the equivalent of class clown in her senior year. Following her graduation in 1953, Kitty's mother witnessed a murder on the streets, which motivated the family to move to New Canaan, Connecticut. Kitty, however, remained in New York City. She was an adult and engaged to be married. The marriage lasted less than a year and was annulled. Kitty began working as a secretary at an insurance company, which she found to be mundane. By the 1950s, she had accepted a position as a bartender. In August of 1961, she was briefly arrested for bookmaking, as she had been taking bets on horse races from bar patrons. She was fined $50 and she lost her job. Kitty then started working nights at Ev's 11th Hour, a bar in the Hollis neighborhood of Queens, first as a bartender, then moved up to manager, prompting her to move to Queens. In 1963, Kitty met her girlfriend, Marianne Zelenko, in a Greenwich Village nightclub. The two found a second-floor apartment together in Kew Gardens, considered a peaceful, safe area to live. At approximately 2:30 a.m. on March 13th, 1964, Kitty left the bar where she worked and began driving home in a red Fiat. While waiting for a traffic light to change on Hoover Avenue, she was spotted by a man who was sitting in his parked Chevrolet Corvair. Kitty arrived home around 3:15 a.m. and parked her car in the Kew Gardens Long Island Railroad Station parking lot, about 100 feet or 30 meters from her apartment's door, in an alleyway at the rear of the building. As she walked towards the apartment complex, the man who had followed her home exited his vehicle, which he parked at a corner bus stop on Austin Street. Armed with a hunting knife, he approached Kitty. Genovese ran to the front of the building, and the man ran after her, overtook her, and stabbed her twice in the back, just meters short of a police call box. It was reported that Genovese screamed, "Oh my God, he stabbed me, help me." Several neighbors heard her screams, but only a few of them recognized the sound as a cry for help. Robert Moser, one of Kitty's neighbors, shouted at the attacker, "Let that girl alone." The man ran away, and Kitty slowly made her way towards the rear entrance of the building, seriously injured and out of view of her neighbors. Witnesses saw the man enter his car, drive away, and return 10 minutes later when he noticed that no one came to her aid. Shadowing his face with a wide-brimmed hat, he systematically searched the parking lot, the train station, and an apartment complex, eventually finding Kitty, who was barely conscious and lying in a hallway at the back of the building, where a locked door had prevented her from going inside. Out of view of the street and of those who may have heard or seen any sign of the initial attack, the man stabbed Genovese 17 more times, several blows striking her neck to silence her screams before raping her, stealing $49, and running away. The two attacks spanned approximately 35 minutes, and knife wounds in Kitty's hands suggested that she attempted to defend herself. A neighbor and close friend, Sophia Farrer, found Kitty shortly after the second attack and held her in her arms until an ambulance arrived. Genovese's girlfriend, Marianne Zilanko, was questioned by detectives at 7 a.m. on the morning after the murder. She was later interrogated for 6 hours by two other homicide detectives, whose questions centered on her relationship with Kitty. This was also the police's focus when they questioned the couple's neighbors. Zilanko was considered a prime suspect. So after the murder, Kitty's girlfriend, Marianne Zilanko, was questioned by the police about their relationship. What that has to do with the murder, who knows? But
look at the time.
Yeah. Well, they asked about their past affairs, their sex life, the sexual positions that they do. Like I said, what does this have to do with her murder? But anyways,
Imagine her sitting in that room.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. So she's in there getting peppered with all these questions for like 6 hours. And now we're talking about the 1960s.
Yeah.
So it's widely misconceived that homosexuals were more prone to romantic jealousy than heterosexuals.
Lesbians are the dark arts, baby.
Yeah.
They're looking at this. This is a witch in front of us.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Dude, sage in the detective room.
Yeah.
Fucking, dude, we were like barbaric.
I know.
Like not that long ago.
No. There was a witness to the murder. His name was Carl Ross, and he was friends with both Kitty and Marianne. And when he was questioned, he told the police that he didn't want to get involved.
That's crazy.
When he heard the screaming in his building's foyer, he hesitated to do anything at all. And he eventually opened the door and saw Kitty getting assaulted. Then he promptly turned away, closed his door, and called a friend who discouraged him from getting involved.
That's wild. That's the craziest part about this first chapter is you can't tell me more people didn't hear what was going on.
Right.
It's a small building. There are multiple, apartments in it. Like, how did one person hear that?
Right.
A woman was getting raped and stabbed in the building front entrance.
Right.
Man.
So he ended up calling a neighbor. The neighbor told Ross to contact the police and that he could use her phone. So rather than going out his door, he climbed out his window, crawled across the roof to her apartment where he finally dialed for police.
It's fishy.
Now, when this came out to be public, Carl Ross was made out to be a coward. Okay? But there's evidence that suggests that he didn't want to get involved because he too was gay. And given the prejudice at the time, he knew that he would be scrutinized with the same ridiculous questions that Marianne was. The messed up thing about that era is that it was expected during that time that if you saw a man and a woman having an altercation, you didn't involve yourself. You just looked the other way.
Yeah, women.
Like at that time, that was a matter to be resolved between the man and the woman themselves.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get yourself involved.
Oh, your wife's getting a little moody there.
Yeah.
Charlie, you better take care of her.
Yeah. You better bring her to the psych ward and give her some electric shock therapy.
Yeah. Just give her some of those pills that she has in her nightstand. She'll be fine.
It's all your fault, Bill.
The ones that make her sleepy, you know.
Yeah, it's all your fault, Bill. You don't discipline her enough.
Oh, I know. That's the water cooler talk with the short white sleeve, black tie, pocket protector. Yeah. God, that kitty, man.
Like thinking about things now to like back then is just like ridiculous. I can't even believe, like you said, it's barbaric. Like I can't believe we actually lived in an era where like all these perceptions were like like a common thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But anyway, so we'll jump into chapter 2 and we'll talk a little bit more about Moseley. On March 19th, 1964, 6 days after the stabbing, a man by the name of Winston Moseley was arrested for suspected robbery in Ozone Park after a television set was discovered in the trunk of his car. Moseley's car was searched after a local man, Raul Cleary, became suspicious when he saw Moseley removing the television from a neighbor's house. Cleary questioned Moseley, who stated that he was helping the people move. However, after consulting another neighbor, Jack Brown, who confirmed that the homeowners were not moving, Cleary called the police and the men disabled Moseley's car to ensure that he could not get away before police arrived. A detective recalled that a white car similar to Moseley's had been reported by some of the witnesses of Kitty's murder. Moseley casually fled the scene and was picked up a few blocks away. Winston Moseley was 29 years old at the time he murdered Kitty Genovese. He was from Ozone Park, Queens, and worked at Remington Rand as a tab operator, preparing the punch cards used at the time mainly for data input for digital computers. Moseley was married with 3 children and had no criminal record. While in custody, Moseley confessed to killing Kitty. He detailed the attack, corroborating the physical evidence at the scene. He said that his motive for the attack was simply to kill a woman, saying he preferred to kill women because they were easier and didn't fight back. He stated that he got up that night around 2 a.m. while his wife was working nights as a registered nurse and drove through Queens to find a victim. Moseley saw Kitty on her way home and followed her to the parking lot before killing her. He also confessed to committing between 30 and 40 robberies, as well as sexually assaulting and murdering 2 other women. In July of 1963, Moseley raped and murdered 15-year-old Barbara Kralik in her parents' Springfield Gardens home. In 12 days before Kitty's murder, he killed 24-year-old Annie Mae Johnson, who lived in South Ozone Park. Moseley murdered Annie Mae and raped her dead body. Then he set fire to her remains. To go along with the prejudice of the 60s, Annie Mae Johnson's murder didn't receive much publicity at all. What I think is because she was African American and there really isn't much known about her. Like I dug through a few things, I couldn't really find much.
Yeah.
One thing that stands out is that her murder was initially ruled by the coroner as a stabbing, presumably with an ice pick. After her death, she was buried in South Carolina, and up until the capture of Moseley, like 15, 16 days later, everyone believed that that's how she was murdered, by being stabbed. After Moseley confessed to killing Annie Mae, he said that he shot her. There was a little bit of discrepancy. Sort of like, well, you know, was she stabbed? Did he shoot her? So her body was exhumed, and there was another autopsy performed. There were 22 caliber bullets seen in her body under an x-ray. Now, call it inexperience by the original coroner, or call it at face value for what it is.
Yeah.
He probably didn't care that much to rule it what it was because she was black.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah. And after that, an inquiry was started, and all homicide-related autopsies were moved to the chief medical examiner's office after that.
Yeah, he definitely messed up big time there.
Yeah.
It sucks, too, because the family of Annie Mae, too, they didn't get the right, cause of death, what happened, the true story about their daughter. Mm-hmm. It's sad.
I just keep going back to, like, what a fucked up time in our country.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Also, like, I'm always intrigued by killers that have very close loved ones, wives, family friends, like they live with somebody or something like that too. Is like, did his wife know he had an aggressive behavior? Like,
no.
You know these people by you know everything they do. Like,
right. Yeah, from all the things that I've seen, he was well liked. You know, he went to work every single day. He was a good worker. Never had any issues with the police. It's just he had this thing in his head.
Yeah, the urge.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like BTK too. You know, BTK is married for God knows how 30-something years, and his wife was like, "Huh?
What?"
You know. So we'll get into the case against Moseley in Chapter 3. Winston Moseley was charged with the murder of Kitty Genovese, but was not charged with the rapes and murders of Annie Mae Johnson or Barbara Kralik, as a man named Alvin Mitchell had already confessed to her murder. Moseley's trial began in June of 1964. He initially pleaded not guilty, but his attorney later changed his plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. During his testimony, Moseley described the events on the night he murdered Kitty, along with the 2 other murders to which he had confessed, and numerous other robberies and rapes. The jury deliberated for 7 hours before returning a guilty verdict on June 11th. On June 15th, Moseley was sentenced to death for the murder of Genovese. When the jury foreman read the sentence, Moseley showed no emotion, while some spectators applauded and cheered. The presiding judge added, "I don't believe in capital punishment, but when I see a monster like this, I wouldn't hesitate to pull the switch myself." On June 1st, 1967, the New York Court of Appeals found that Moseley should have been able to argue that he was medically insane at the sentencing hearing when the trial court found that he had been legally sane, and the sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. In March of 1968, Moseley stuck a tin of Spam into his rectum, hoping that the injuries would force him to be transferred from his cell in Attica Prison to a hospital. Moseley was transported for surgery, and on the way back from the hospital, he took the correctional officer's gun, escaped from the transport van, and broke into an empty house in Buffalo, New York, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Matthew Kalaga. After 3 days of watching TV and eating canned food, he called a local employment office and asked them to send a maid. When she arrived, he threatened her with a gun. He then raped her, warning her that if she told anyone, he would find and kill her children. On March 21st, the Kalugas went to check on the house, where they encountered Moseley, who held them hostage for more than an hour, binding and gagging Matthew and raping Mrs. Kalaga. He then took the couple's car and fled. Moseley traveled to Grand Island, where he broke into another house and held a woman and her daughter hostage for 2 hours before releasing them unharmed. He surrendered to police shortly afterward and was charged with escape and kidnapping, to which he pleaded guilty. Moseley was given 2 additional 15-year sentences to run concurrently with his life sentence. In September of 1971, Moseley participated in the Attica prison riot. He became eligible for parole in 1984. During his first parole hearing, he told the parole board that the notoriety he faced due to his crimes made him a victim, stating, "For a victim outside, it's a one-time or 1 hour or 1 minute affair. But for the person who's caught, it's forever." At the same hearing, Moseley claimed he never intended to kill Genovese, and that he considered her murder to be a mugging, because people do kill people when they mug them sometimes. The board denied his request for parole. Subsequent psychiatric examinations suggested that Moseley was a necrophile. Winston Moseley died in prison in March of 2016 at the age of 81. Can we talk about shoving a can of Spam up your ass?
You went right into it. That's pretty girthy, dude.
I know.
That's got some girth to it.
Like, what do you gotta do? Like, for people that don't know what Spam is from, like, other countries or whatever,
that's like this.
Spam is processed meat.
In a can.
In a can. I mean, I like it.
I haven't had Spam in years.
we used to have fried Spam all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but anyway, so the can is probably 4 inches by 2 inches and another 3 inches tall.
At least 3 inches tall.
Yeah.
I think it's more.
Yeah, it's
And that's the small can. There's a bigger one.
I know.
He might have took down the bigger one.
Bro, imagine sitting in your jail cell. Like how do you do it? Do you use your hand to shove it in? Do you set it on the floor and
you gotta
sit on it?
back into that one.
Yeah.
You gotta prep that one. You can't just.
What do you use for lube?
Jail sounds wild, dude.
I know. What do you use for lube? I mean,
The real question was he prepping?
right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, did you stretch it out a little bit before
he was worried. He was like, "Shit, man, this guy's got a hog." You know. Let me grab the Spam can real quick.
Yeah. Oh my god,
It's better than a good old thumb, right?
I know. Oh god. Anyway, what if you had anal protrusion when he took it out?
Oh, the pink sleeve. No,
Okay, Howie. Did you hear about that?
no.
Howie Mandel.
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
He put it on TikTok,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
of a pink sock.
Yes, everybody was freaking out. They're
I
like,
know.
"What the
They're like,
hell?"
what the fuck? All right. Anyway, back to the show.
All right.
Okay. I couldn't find where it said why Moseley was charged in Annie Mae Johnson's death, but in the case of Barbara Kralik, another man, Alvin Mitchell, had previously confessed to her murder. Now, whether it was coerced or not, I don't know, but on June 23rd, 1964, Moseley appeared as a defense witness in the trial of Mitchell for the murder of Barbara Kralik. After being granted immunity from prosecution, Moseley testified that he himself had killed Kralik. Now, in that trial, the jury came back a hung jury. But Alvin Mitchell was brought back, was charged again, had a second trial, and he was convicted. So I don't know how you can convict somebody when somebody basically gives you every single detail of how a person was murdered.
Yeah.
And admits to murdering them, takes full credit freely, but you sentence another person for the
For
murder?
the same murder?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wild.
So basically they were like, well, we can get 2 guys off the street.
Yeah.
So,
Let's get 2 of these whack jobs out. Yeah.
yeah.
And on top of that, too, is the judge saying, "Oh, I'd pull the plug myself."
Yeah.
That's a mistrial in today's
Right.
in today's world.
Yeah.
They would have stopped the entire trial right there, and the guy would have walked free.
Yeah.
You can't just say that.
Right.
Crazy. Becoming eligible for parole in 1984, even getting eligible for parole at that point. I know his sentence was different. He had the option, but for them to deny his parole because he was a necrophile it seems like a cop out. Like, deny it because he's a killer, not because he fantasizes about dead bodies.
Right.
Like, what do you guys what?
What other reason? What new reason can we come up with for denying his?
It's paperwork. That's all it is. Died in prison in 2016, age 81. Could you imagine spending that much time in prison and dying in prison?
No. I guess at the time he was like the longest tenured criminal in prison.
You think he was in Gen Pop by that time?
But he was 81?
By the time he's right, like when do you think they let I mean, he's still a very violent offender.
Yeah.
When do they just say?
What do they call nowadays? Old heads?
Dude, they should call him the Spam King, dude. He's probably over there, the old timer holding 2 pockets, just walking down the yard.
I wonder if Spam was removed from the commissary after that. We ain't doing this again.
There's got to be a point where you're like, all right, just throw this guy. He's 81. He definitely did his time. That's for sure.
Right.
We have to talk about the escape from prison. That, as much as we joked about the Spam, guy's a mastermind, right? That was a genius idea. And then take the officer's gun, get out, hide out, call a maid over to clean the house. It's something out of a movie.
Now, the fucked up thing about this whole thing is that after Moseley was captured and brought back to prison, they actually charged the maid with failure to report her rape.
The worst moment of her life, and ever will be. And they charge her for that because she didn't come forward. That's horrible.
I could probably assume why.
A lot of race-related things in this this story.
So we'll go into the creation of the Genovese Syndrome in the next chapter. Initially, the murder of Kitty Genovese was a 2-paragraph blurb buried in the middle of the New York Times. 10 days after her murder, the chief of police had lunch with the editor of the Times, and they talked about the lack of witness intervention. The editor sent a reporter to question the neighbors. A subsequent article came out stating that 38 witnesses watched a rape and murder occur and didn't do a thing to stop it. Based on this article, numerous psychologists studied the case, and the term, the Genovese Syndrome, or the bystander effect, was developed. This diagnosis was in all major psychiatry textbooks for the next 40 years. However, in 2014, an inquiry into the accuracy of the original article found that not all of the 38 recognized, understood the severity, or saw the entire sequence of events of Kitty's assault. A few of them did attempt to call the police, but couldn't get through. There were at least 2 people who did get through, but didn't see the initial stabbing, so the assault was downplayed as a domestic disturbance, a low priority call at the time. Only one witness, Joseph Fink, was aware Genovese was stabbed in the first attack, and only Carl Ross was aware of it in the second attack. Many were entirely unaware that an assault or homicide had taken place. Some thought what they saw or heard was a domestic quarrel, a drunken brawl, or a group of friends leaving the bar when Moseley first approached Genovese. Also, after the initial attack punctured Kitty's lungs, leading to her eventual death from asphyxiation, it is unlikely that Genovese was able to scream at any volume. By the time an accurate description of the assault was given to police, it was too late. Kitty died on the way to the hospital. According to a New York Times article dated December 28, 1974, 10 years after Genovese's murder, 25-year-old Sandra Zoller was beaten to death early Christmas morning in an apartment that overlooked the site of the Genovese attack. Neighbors again said they heard screams and fierce struggles, but did nothing. Although the Genovese Syndrome was born out of an erroneous news article, it does carry some weight. You still see it today. People generally mind their own business or think that someone else will call for help. Others grab their cell phones and record a violent attack. It's up for debate whether they think someone else will call or if it's for their own social media cred. If there is one good thing that came out of this, it would be the centralized emergency number, or as we know it in the U.S., 911. At the time of Kitty's murder, people would have to call the police station's phone number. 4 years after Kitty's murder, 911 was put into effect. So I want to talk a little bit more about how the Genovese Syndrome affects us today. Like, can you come up with any ways of how this applies to us?
I mean, the entire world star culture in general, I'd like to say, though, if in today's world, and I've seen it multiple times in videos and internet clips and viral videos, if a woman's being assaulted, I've seen it on subways, the street, a lot of guys step in and, take it personal. I'd like to say that we've changed in that way where you see the underdog being attacked.
Yeah.
But if two grown men are throwing down the street, a lot of people just pull their phones out and just let it happen.
Right. Now, I saw one where an estranged husband was stabbing his estranged wife on a sidewalk, just like going to town on her. And there's video recording of this. Like, somebody pulled out their phone to fucking record this woman being stabbed. Like, she's crying out, help me, help me, help me. And nobody fucking does a thing. There's cars driving by. What would you do in that situation?
Well, both of us have concealed carry permits. We carry firearms with us most of the time. That guy wouldn't have been alive to stab that woman. Yeah. And if I was there, following the rules of the state.
Right.
To a T.
Stop stabbing.
But
you're going to get shot.
Yeah.
and he continues to stab.
Yeah. Is the person recording because they don't want to be stabbed or attacked, or are they afraid? So the best thing they can do is try to record the situation. That wouldn't be me. I would, even if I didn't have my, firearm on me, I would still intervene somehow to stop.
Well, obviously, because he's preoccupied stabbing a woman.
Yeah.
He's not going to know that you're going to be coming up to fucking
with a sucker punch from the side of the face.
Body slam him into the fucking wall or some shit. You know what I mean?
But I guess
at least distract him away from what he's doing.
It depends on the person you are at that point and who's around. A group of people is completely different, because a group of people could easily you see it with active shooting situations and all that stuff too. Is
a lot of these psychologists now who discuss this the Genovese syndrome say that it's more likely for people to ignore a crime in progress if there are more people around.
Yeah, because I could see that, because you're looking at the other person like, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?
Right.
Or
like, I don't need to do anything. Somebody else will take care of it. Somebody else will.
It also goes to the how severe the crime is too.
Mm-hmm.
If I was in a gas station, I was concealed carrying at that point, and somebody was robbing a gas station even at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
He's not actively looking like he's gonna shoot the store clerk. He's just asking for money. You don't get in a firefight in the middle of Sunoco. You let him. You're not gonna do that for the $300 that's in the cash register. Let him take it and go. So, armed robbery? No. If somebody's stabbing somebody, I would hope that somebody's there to at least,
If an assault is in progress where it is causing severe bodily harm that could lead to death.
Yes, 100%. You have every right.
You have every right to intervene and
stop the threat.
Right.
Not everybody has that mindset too. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely prevalent in today's society, because we are very, we live through our phones. It's our first reaction.
A lot of people.
If something crazy is happening, the first reaction most people do is pull out their phone and record it instead of intervening.
That's like the last thing I do. Dude, I forget. I am like the worst at taking videos and pictures. I forget that my phone even has that capability.
Do you know how many amazing videos I could have taken in my life?
Yeah.
Amazing viral moments that I have, like that, just wild things that happen to me on a daily basis, going out, hanging out, drinking with my friends, whatever. And I that's not my first reaction to grab a phone. I don't know. I live in the moment too much, I guess.
Yeah. I don't even, like, if I see something happening, even if it's like one of my sons running a 90-yard touchdown, I'm like, yeah, go. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh shit, I should have recorded that.
Yeah, but then again, you're living in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's better to be there.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the story by saying at least one good thing came out of this was, 911 being established. Police call boxes.
Yeah.
That's
like they have on college campus.
Yeah.
Direct ring. But yeah, because prior to then, it's like you had to call the police station directly.
Yeah.
And, you're thinking 1964, 63, whatever. How many people do you think they have on staff to answer phones?
Correct.
It's just like the guy at the desk. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, hey. He's half asleep.
Yeah.
Working night shift.
And now you're talking about like a section of Queens. Like, how many people live in a section of Queens?
Oh, hell yeah.
A million?
If you're ever in New York, I highly if you see, they have the walking patrols. They're unarmed. They're actual police officers. They're unarmed cops just walking through the city. Just walk behind them and listen to their radio. It is wild. There's one little section, and it's nonstop. Just calls going out 24/7.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine in 1950, whatever this time in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You have this whole area where one guy at 3 o'clock in the morning is probably answering 50 calls a freaking minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
please hold.
Right.
Somebody's screaming on the other lane. Please, hold on 1 second, please. Then you go to the other call. You got two phones.
Right. So, and that goes into the report, that nobody called. Nobody called the police for this. There were people that called, and they couldn't get through. And the whole thing about the original Genovese Syndrome, where all these psychologists reported on it, is that not all of them saw the attack from the very first stabbing to the very last.
Yeah.
There's only one person that actually saw the initial two stabs. And he was the guy that I think he was the guy that was like, "Hey, leave that girl alone," and he ran off.
You know your local police station number at that time.
I gotta Google. I gotta Google mine.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying at that point you would know, like, there's no 911.
Well, I think like back then, like they didn't have actual phone numbers. Like you picked up the operator and they were like,
"Hey,
connect me to Whiskey 5," you know.
and they're like, she's over here plugging wires and shit.
Yeah.
But imagine, right? You I don't know, you don't even know what town you're in. You're driving and you see some crazy stuff and you want to call 911. You're like, "Hey, operator, can you connect me to the police?" "All right, what town are you in?"
Fuck if I know.
I don't know. Like,
so that'll do it for Kitty Genovese and the Genovese Syndrome. But before we go, don't forget to become a criminal on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/criminalaf. There's 5 tiers, and you can donate as little as $2 a month to help the podcast. Everyone will receive early release of all of our episodes. Ramirez and above will receive our blooper reels. Kemper and above will receive our Patreon-only monthly bonus episodes of True Crime Fast Facts. Bundy and above will receive a quarterly gift, as well as an exclusive I'm a Criminal on Patreon t-shirt to rep your favorite podcasts.
exclusive.
Yes, sir. And Zodiac subscribers will receive an executive producer credit for every single episode for the length of their membership, as well as a virtual guest spot on a future episode.
It's gonna be cool.
Come on, join us for an episode.
It's gonna be cool.
So much stuff, man. Links to our Patreon, PayPal, socials, merchandise, and more are in the episode description.
Also, guys, check us out if you want to watch the video of us. You know, we are very animated. We love to laugh. We're on YouTube. Go find us on YouTube. Subscribe if you want to watch the video version of these podcasts too.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for this episode of Criminal AF. Signing off from Studio Chloroform. Keep your head on a swivel and take care until next time. See ya.